it up North F4. We are here with Ted Ralsei, who is the lake guy. Ted, you always come and join us and fill our heads with so much great information. You have so much information about so much. That's why you call the lake guy.
That's right. I'm glad to do it. I really enjoy it.
And we love having you here. In today's segment, we will be talking about fish, right? Fish anatomy.
Yeah, fish are amazing creatures.
Yeah, so let's start with the anatomy.
I was going to say, this seems like a very dumb question, but what is a fish? What makes a fish?
Oh boy, they live in the water. They breathe,
turtles.
Breathe by means of gills.
Okay.
They have fins, and they swim. They're cold-blooded.
Okay, check all those boxes.
Yeah.
You've got a fish. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is the pearl fish or is it fishes?
Either way.
We're not going to split hairs on that one.
No.
Okay, you're more in the
either way.
You're more concerned about the taxonomy here. So, what are the parts of a fish like right here?
Well, interesting. I could go on about this, but one thing that's interesting is the functions of the different fins. This is because I can't catch a big walleye. I have to put a stuffed one up on the wall. But anyway, the functions of the fins. If the muscles are the engine, then this tail fin is the propeller. This is mainly used for propulsion. These dorsal fins, when they're standing up like so, they can make a smaller fish look bigger than it is and discourage predators. The other fins are largely used for steering and for braking. So.
Very cool.
Wow, okay. And so talk about, I guess you did mention and highlight on the sixth sense. So what does that mean? Like the fish have sixth sense?
Yeah, it is not the same as our sense of touch. It's similar, but you could consider it a sixth sense. Fish have what's called lateral lines right here on this side of their body, and there are special cells in there that are filled with fluid, and inside that fluid are little hairs. And when vibrations hit the fish's body, those little hairs pick up the vibration and wiggle and send a nerve signal, electric nerve signal to the brain. So the fish can detect vibration from prey around it. They can be sensitive enough that if you're walking heavily on a riverbank and there's a fish there, the fish can feel that. Or if you're in a boat and you drop something or you make a bunch of noise, the lateral lines can pick that up. So it's kind of a sixth sense.
Yeah, so maybe when you cast a line, you got a big jig on there, just that ripple could alert the fish and it could run away?
Yeah, a bigger lure could cause that, sure.
Okay, and then when it comes to catching fish, I see a lot of people right on the backside of dams, and I think from what I understand it's something to do with oxygen, but how does that work with gills?
Oh, gills are amazing. The air we breathe is 21% oxygen, and the amount of oxygen in the water is 0.0008% oxygen.
Okay.
And it's amazing that the gills can pull enough oxygen out of that tiny little amount in order to survive.
So downstream from a dam, immediately downstream, is the idea that there's more oxygen in the water, so there'll be more fish there?
Yeah, there's oxygen in the water. There's also food coming over the dam, so it's a very attractive place and it tends to be, before you get downstream, it tends to be fairly calm water below the dam, and the fish don't want to expend a lot of energy fighting the current, so they're going to stay mostly where the current is rather placid.
Okay.
Wow, that's great information, Ted. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't even know that. But we have more on that, right? And also, you have mentioned a lot about it in your book as well. So we'll get into that after this break.
Okay.